ready to take on the world of automated assembly lines. We're about to break down everything you need to know to ace that interview. We're talking RoleCatcher's career and interview guides, specifically for automated assembly line operators.
It's like a roadmap to success in modern manufacturing.
Absolutely, like a cheat sheet.
Yeah.
So first, what does an automated assembly line operator even do all day?
Well, the career guide mentions this thing called a rotation system, so you're not like stuck doing the same thing over and over again.
Oh, interesting. Why is that important?
Monotony, it can kill you. In today's manufacturing world where automation is becoming, more and more prevalent, keeping things interesting for the workers is actually really important. Helps reduce errors and, it helps you learn a wider range of skills.
So it's like beneficial for both the employer and the employee.
Exactly.
Okay, so they've got this rotation system, and the career guide emphasizes quality control, ALOT. What's that all about?
Quality control. Oh, that's huge GE in this role. Think of yourself as the guardian of quality. Every single product that passes through your hands needs to meet those really high standards. And interviewers, they're going to be looking for that quality first mindset. They're going to want to see it in your answers.
So it's not just about, being able to operate the machinery, but also having that mindset that every single piece has to be perfect.
Precisely. Attention to detail.
Got it. Attention to detail, quality first. Okay, so now let's talk about how to use RoleCatcher to, seriously up your game. I know a lot of people might think it's just a job site, but it's so much more than that.
Oh, you're telling me?
Yeah.
Their AI is next level.
Right, so how can the AI help our listeners prepare for this specific interview?
Well, for starters, it can analyze your CV. But it doesn't just look for keywords. It actually assesses how well your CV matches what employers are looking for, for this particular role.
Oh, wow, that's really specific.
It is. And get this, it can even suggest improvements to make your application, stand out from the crowd.
So it's almost like having a personal career coach.
Exactly. Like having someone right there fine-tuning your resume.
That's amazing. And the AI magic doesn't stop there.
Nope. You can actually practice answering interview questions with the AI. It'll give you feedback on your answers, your tone, even your body language if you have the camera on. It's like you're doing a mock interview with an expert.
Oh, wow. I bet that boosts confidence, too.
Oh, absolutely. Knowing what to expect, getting that feedback, it can make all the difference.
Okay, let's jump into those interview questions. We're not just giving you the answers here. We're going to give you the strategies to come up with your own authentic responses that really showcase your strengths.
Because that's what's going to make you stand out. We want you to feel confident and prepared walking into that interview.
Exactly. First question. Describe your experience working with automated assembly lines. Seems pretty straightforward, but what are they really trying to find out?
They want to know if you get it. Have you actually been in the trenches, dealt with assembly lines, Even if you haven't worked with automated lines specifically, any manufacturing experience is gold. Talk about operating machinery, following procedures, working in a fast-paced environment. Those are all valuable.
So even if your experience isn't an exact match, it's about showing them how it connects.
Yeah, connect the dots.
Okay. Are there any, magic words, key words that'll make their ears perk up?
Oh, definitely. Words like efficiency, quality control, safety protocols, those are music to a hiring manager's ears. But don't just throw them around, back them up with real examples.
Show, don't tell.
Right. You could say something like, in my previous role, I was responsible for operating a packaging machine, and I always make sure to follow the safety protocols to prevent accidents.
Perfect. Now, question 2. How do you ensure the assembly line is running efficiently and meeting production targets? This seems like they're trying to see if you're a problem solver.
Oh, 100%. They want people who are proactive, not just reactive. Think of a time when you had to optimize a process or streamline a task, or even think outside the box when something went wrong. Maybe you noticed a bottleneck on the line and figured out a way to rearrange things.
I love that. A real-life example. Now, what about a follow-up question like, can you give me a specific example of a time you improved efficiency on a production line? What would you say to that?
That's where those specific examples are crucial. Have one ready, walk them through the situation, what you did and how it all turned out. Quantify your achievements whenever possible.
Numbers speak volumes. Okay, moving on to question 3. Describe your experience with quality control and testing of finished products. That quality-first mindset comes into play here. Big time, Brent.
Big time. This is where you shine as that detail-oriented individual. Even if your past jobs weren't specifically about quality control, think about times when you had to be super careful, spot errors, ensure consistency.
So even something like data entry, where you have to be accurate That counts.
Absolutely. Or like working in a restaurant. You have to make sure every plate looks perfect before it goes out.
Attention to detail. Got it. Now, what about a follow-up? Like, what steps would you take if you noticed a defect in a product coming down the assembly line?
Ooh, that's a good one. They want to see that you understand the procedures. You'd want to explain how you'd immediately stop the line, to prevent more faulty products, isolate that defective item, and then follow the company's protocol for reporting it. Shows you take quality seriously and that you get the importance of following the rules.
Makes sense. Okay, safety, obviously huge GE in manufacturing. Question 4, how do you ensure that safety protocols and procedures are followed on the assembly line? What are they looking for here?
They want someone who's not just safety conscious, but a leader in that area. Did you ever have to enforce safety rules? Educate a coworker. Spot a hazard and take action.
So it's about being proactive.
Right. Like you noticed a coworker wasn't wearing safety glasses. Did you say something?
Okay, what about a follow-up? Like,
Mm.
have you ever had to actually stop a production line because of a safety concern? Have you?
Be honest about your experience. If you have a story, tell it. Emphasize your quick thinking, how you followed protocol. Even if you haven't personally had to stop a line, you can talk about how seriously you take safety and how you'd be willing to speak up.
Question 5. Can you describe your experience with troubleshooting and resolving technical issues on the assembly line? Some people might freeze up at this one. Do they expect you to be an engineer?
Nah, not necessarily. They're looking for someone who's comfortable with technology and capable of, basic problem solving. Think of a time you had to figure something out. Maybe it was a machine, a process, even a piece of software.
Like when the printer jams, you have to fix it.
Yeah, those everyday experiences show you can think analytically.
It's about the thought process. Now, what about this follow-up? Can you give me an example of a time you had to troubleshoot a technical issue on the assembly line? What details should you include?
Be specific. Describe the problem, the steps you took, the tools you used, the outcome. Even if you couldn't totally fix it, highlight that you could at least identify what was wrong.
Okay, on to question 6. How do you ensure the assembly line is properly maintained and serviced? This is about preventative maintenance, right?
You got it. They want to know that you're proactive. You know that keeping those machines humming is essential for productivity. Have you ever worked with maintenance schedules, done routine checks, even keeping your workspace clean? Shows that mindset.
Makes sense. What about a follow-up? Like, what specific steps would you take to ensure regular maintenance?
Here's where you can impress them with your knowledge. Talk about preventative maintenance schedules, visual inspections, and knowing when to call in a specialist. You could even mention things like lubricating parts, checking for wear and tear.
Question still gets into specifics. Describe your experience with programming and operating industrial robots on the assembly line. Now, this one might make some people sweat. Are they expecting you to be a robotics expert?
Honesty is key. If you have experience with industrial robots, awesome, tell them all about it. But if you don't, focus on your willingness to learn.
It's more about attitude than experience.
Yeah, that you're excited about new technology.
What about a follow-up like, are you familiar with any specific types of industrial robots? What could you mention, even if you don't have tons of experience?
Even a little bit of knowledge can go a long way. You could mention Scour robots. They're known for their speed and precision. Or articulated robots. They have multiple joints and are super flexible. Show them you're eager to learn.
Okay, question 8 gets a little more personal. Describe a time you had to make a difficult decision related to the assembly line and how you approached it. What are they hoping to hear?
They want to see your judgment. How do you handle pressure? Are you committed to quality and safety? Think of a time when you had a tough call to make. Maybe it was prioritizing safety over speed or balancing competing demands.
So it's not about always having the right answer, but more about how you think things through. What if they say, what was the outcome of that decision? And what did you learn?
That's where you show them that you learned from your experiences. Did your choice make things better? Resolve a conflict? Even if things didn't go perfectly, explain what you took away from it.
And last but not least, question 9. How do you ensure the assembly line meets regulatory and compliance standards? This is about understanding the big picture, right?
Totally. They want to know you're not just focused on your little piece of the puzzle. Have you worked with compliance procedures before? Quality standards, safety regulations, even if it was in a different industry. It's about showing that attention to detail, that commitment to following the rules.
Okay, so we've talked about how RoleCatcher's AI can analyze resumes and give feedback on practice answers. But is there anything else it can do to help with these questions?
There's this thing called Copilot AI. It takes things a step further. It actually tailors your answers to the specific company and role you're applying for.
So it's like having insider information on what they're looking for. That's amazing. All right, well, that wraps up the interview questions for now.
But don't go anywhere because we're about to dive into what happens after you land the job. Career progression, folks. It's time to climb that ladder. So you nailed it. You aced that interview. You are officially an automated assembly line operator. Congrats. Now what?
Time to plan for the future.
Yeah.
Let's talk career progression. The career guide actually breaks down the typical path.
All right, so you'll probably start as an entry-level operator.
Makes sense.
Think of it as boot camp. You're learning the ropes, how everything works, the equipment, really getting that hands-on experience.
Building that solid foundation.
Exactly. Then once you've, shown what you can do, proved you're reliable, you'd probably move up to junior operator.
Okay, so what's different there?
More responsibility. You might be training new people coming in, troubleshooting like little issues that come up, or even leading a small team on your part of the line.
So you become the mentor.
Yeah, you start sharing your expertise.
Cool. What about the people who, they want to reach the top?
That's where the senior operator role comes in. You're not just operating the line anymore. You're basically conducting the whole orchestra.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
You're overseeing a whole team of operators, making sure everything's running smoothly, troubleshooting the bigger issues, hitting those production targets. You might even be suggesting ways to improve the whole process.
So you have a lot of impact.
You do.
That sounds pretty challenging.
It is, but it can be super rewarding.
Now, what if someone wants to, specialize even further? What are some of the paths you can take?
There are a bunch of different directions you can go in. If you're obsessed with efficiency, streamlining things, making the process better, you could become a production specialist.
Okay, so that's more on the process improvement side of things.
Yeah, think lean manufacturing, Six Sigma, constantly finding ways to get more output, less waste.
Love it. What about the people who are more, hands-on, mechanically inclined?
Robotics technician, that could be a perfect fit.
Oh, robots.
You'd be the go-to person for maintaining, repairing, even programming those industrial robots that are, everywhere these days.
You're like the robot whisperer.
Exactly. Keeping them running smoothly, making sure they're doing their job.
Cool. So you've got production specialist, robotics technician. There are a lot of options.
There are. And to help you figure out which path is right for you, RoleCatcher has this tool called Career Compass.
Oh, right. We talked about that earlier.
It's like a GPS for your career.
Yeah.
As you gain experience and learn new skills, you update your profile, and RoleCatcher will suggest relevant career paths you could take, even specific jobs you might be a good fit for.
That's really helpful. So RoleCatcher is not just about getting that first job. It's about helping you build a whole career.
Right.
Okay. Now, let's be real for a second. Everyone wants to know about the money. Does the career guide talk about salary at all?
It does. And of course, it can vary a lot depending on where you live, how much experience you have, the company, all that. But it does give you a general range for each level of operator.
So what's the big picture?
You can expect to make more as you move up from entry level to senior operator, especially if you pick up those specialized skills, maybe get some certifications.
So there's potential for growth.
Definitely, both in terms of responsibility and, salary.
That's good to know. Okay, let's get back to those interview questions for a minute. We've covered a lot, but there's one more strategy I want to mention. It's called the STAR method.
Oh yeah, the STAR method, the classic.
Can you explain what it is and how it can help?
It's a way to structure your answers so they're really clear and memorable. It stands for situation, task, action, and result. You're basically telling a story, a concise story that shows off your skills.
Okay, I'm getting it.
Yeah.
Can you give an example of how to use the STAR method for one of the questions we talked about earlier?
Sure. Let's take the question about troubleshooting technical issues. You could start by describing the situation in my previous role as a production assistant, one of the conveyor belts suddenly stopped working, which caused a big bottleneck. Then you'd outline the task. My responsibility was to figure out what was wrong and get the line moving again as quickly as possible.
Okay, that sets the scene.
Right. Then you talk about the action you took. First, I checked the power supply, the emergency stop button, all that. Everything seemed fine. So I checked the operator's manual and I found this troubleshooting flowchart. I followed the steps and it turns out a sensor was malfunctioning.
Nice. So you identified the problem. What about the result?
I let the maintenance team know and they replaced the sensor. Because I acted quickly and figured it out, we got the line up and running again pretty fast, which minimized any downtime.
Perfect.
Yeah,
You told a story, you showed what you did and how it made a difference.
exactly.
And we talked about RoleCatcher's AI feedback. Can it actually help with the STAR method?
It can. The Copilot AI, it can analyze your practice answers and tell you if you're using the STAR method effectively. It might even give you suggestions on how to improve your storytelling.
That's amazing.
Hmm.
All right, so we've covered interview questions, career progression, salaries, the STAR method. What other nuggets of wisdom does the career guide have for us?
Let's talk about continuous learning. The world of manufacturing is always changing. New tech, new processes popping up all the time. The career guide really emphasizes how important it is to stay ahead of the game.
So how can someone, in this field keep learning and stay relevant?
There are a few things you can do. First, definitely take advantage of any on-the-job training your company offers. They might have programs on new equipment or software. Second, check out online courses. There are tons of reputable platforms offering courses in robotics, automation, all that. And then there's professional organizations. Networking with other people in the field, it can really help you stay up to date.
It's like never stop learning.
Pretty much.
Okay, one more thing. Soft skills. Those are always important, especially in this increasingly automated world. What do you think?
Couldn't agree more. Those technical skills, they're the foundation, but employers are also looking for people who can communicate, work as part of a team, solve problems, adapt to new situations, all that good stuff. And as more and more tasks get automated, those human skills become even more important.
So can you give us a few examples of how those soft skills would actually play out on an automated assembly line?
Sure. Communication, for example. Super important when you're working with a team of people to keep everything running smoothly. Teamwork is huge, too, especially when you're collaborating on, like, a complex task. Problem solving, you need that to quickly figure out what's wrong when an issue pops up. And then there's adaptability. Always got to be ready for new technology and processes.
So while robots might be handling some of the repetitive tasks, the human element is still vital.
Absolutely.
All right, before we wrap up, let's circle back to RoleCatcher one last time. How can it help our listener beyond the interview?
Remember, it's not just a job board. It's a whole platform with tons of resources. You can use it to stay updated on industry news, connect with other professionals, even explore new career opportunities as you gain experience.
It really is like having a career coach in your pocket.
Yep.
Okay. I want to leave our listener with one last thought from the career guide. It says, the future of manufacturing belongs to those who are willing to embrace technology, cultivate their skills, and adapt to a constantly evolving landscape.
That's a good one. It's all about having that growth mindset, always be learning.
All right, so with all the info we've covered today, I think our listeners are definitely ready to take on that challenge.
I think so, too. And, even if this particular job, automated assembly line operator, isn't the perfect fit for you right now.
Right.
The skills we've been talking about today, like problem solving and communication and being adaptable, those are valuable no matter what career path you end up choosing.
So true. So true. This deep dive has been packed with insights, not just for people who want to be automated assembly line operators, but for anyone who's, trying to navigate the working world, especially with all this automation happening.
It's a whole new world out there.
It is. It is. Okay, so we've talked about what the role is, how to answer those tough interview questions, the career paths you can take, even those all-important soft skills, and why continuous learning is so key.
And of course, we can't forget RoleCatcher.
Oh, yeah, RoleCatcher, definitely.
Their AI tools are a game changer, like we said.
For real.
They can help you tailor your application, practice your answers, even discover jobs you might not have even thought about.
I mean, come on, it's like having a secret weapon.
It is.
So to our listener, if you're feeling inspired and ready to take that next step, head over to RoleCatcher.com.
You won't regret it.
It's like having, I don't know, a personal career coach and a whole library of insider knowledge.
All in one place.
Right at your fingertips. All right, that's it for our deep dive into the world of automated assembly line operators.
Best of luck out there, everyone. Remember, the future of manufacturing is waiting for you.
That's right, it's out there. And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep aiming for those goals.